Greetings, lovelies. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com. Thanks again for joining me here for another moment for chronic wellness. I'm continuing to talk about secondary injury. And as I mentioned, I hurt my ankle. And while I was laying on the floor trying to assess how badly injured I was, my first thoughts were not of me. My first thoughts were not actually, oh, I wonder how bad it is. I wonder how much I'll be paying for this. I wonder how long I'll be laid up. My first thoughts were actually about my wife. And for those of you with partners and or caregivers, I wonder how much you can relate to this. Or maybe it's not even so much that dynamic. I wonder if it's like those of us who are empaths or who are primarily outward focused, because it was not about me that I was really wanting to know about how badly hurt I was. It was, I already do so little for this household. How much more of that is going to be taken away? i.e., how much of what I'm already doing is going to be put on my wife's shoulders. She carries so much. She, for the better part of the last 10 years, has driven me everywhere, has, for long stretches of time, made every meal that wasn't brought to us, has bathed me. You know, there's been nights where she's had to change the sheets multiple times because what was happening for my body. She has tirelessly served and cared for me, and I have gleaned some pieces of independence. As I mentioned yesterday, I now can drive sometimes, and in my head all I flashed to was, it's going away. The few things that I feel like I can do, they're going away. And where are they going? Back to her. These responsibilities are all now going to be hers, and that feels like shit. So it's an interesting thing that, you know, there I was on the floor and that's what was coming to me, and that's the truth of the matter. That's what was happening for me. And you know, my greatest fears did not come to pass. It is not broken. It will not be forever. And some of the fears are true. You know, I'm not able to drive right now. And a lot of the things that I was helping do, I'm not capable of doing. It is a big burden on her that this injury happened to me. And remembering to just release the guilt around that, the guilt that arises, and to know to not have shame about it, that this is not something to be ashamed of, is an important change that has happened over time. There was a time when I would have experienced this as shame. And I'll talk a little bit more about how the injury happened tomorrow and why that might be the case. But I don't have shame. I do have sadness, and it's hard to not feel apologetic every time she's hopping up to get me a new ice pack. She's getting up to get me things that I would have gotten for myself, but for the fact that I'm supposed to stay off this ankle. So striking a balance and finding a way to be graceful in the midst of my frustration, and accepting in the midst of really rejecting this, and seeing it as one more opportunity to be my teacher about how I'm not in control. Never was, never will be. All I can control is that little space between when something happens and how I respond to it, and trying to lengthen that space and and be a little more thoughtful about the choice I make in it. It's my thought for today. Tune back in about my last chapter on this one, how the injury happened and how that led to one of those New Year's intentions that you heard me make. All right, wrapping up here, but looking forward to seeing you again soon. If you have not subscribed, I'd be so grateful if you would. And in the meantime, be well.